Trustee Williams. As I stand here hated by this board, I would like for us to set a motion aside and let's discuss some things because these things are very important. Mr. Baines, I wasn't planning on doing this with you, but I'd like to after that and exchange this in. With consumer protection in mind, can you explain to me why we have active licensed massage therapists in this state with an active warrant? Can the board explain that to me?
I can explain
Okay.
it. I'll refer that to
With
the
an active warrant from an investigator was involved in and actually renewed their license in 2021 with an active warrant for practicing prostitution in Coleman, Alabama. That was on the NCIC, and if you know anything about background checks, when you run a background check, the NCIC pulls up if there's an active warrant, correct or not correct, Lieutenant Hayes?
That's correct.
Okay. So, at the deal of this, Mr. Beans, you said, you asked a question earlier. You asked who serves on the investigative committee.
I did.
Aren't you the only lieutenant on this board?
Well, I'm the only consumer on this board.
Aren't you the only law enforcement officer who serves on this board?
That's correct.
Did Governor Ivey not appoint you to this board to serve in the capacity to assist with sex trafficking?
Well, I'm a consumer. A consumer member can come from any background. It just so happens that my background is human trafficking
Okay.
and vice operations and homicide and things like that.
Why aren't you on the investigative committee today?
I don't have an answer for that. I don't get it.
Have you ever been consulted with from this board to serve in an investigative capacity whatsoever since your time?
I don't get it. There's 2 investigators on staff for the board.
Have they ever consulted with you?
No.
Okay, so my next question is, why are we reporting licenses to people who were impersonating massage therapists in Tennessee, but yet they get a license in Alabama? These are serious questions. Where are you mailing these massage licenses to when someone has a physical and mailing address in Flushing, New York, and San Gabriel, California? Where are you sending the licenses? How are they getting them? You don't have to answer me, I just want to ask the question.
And we have just put into effect some new rules that we've been working on privately that it's not public knowledge, and that's some of our rules here. We're going through and stopping a lot of this.
Okay.
And going through, we've been working, Candy's worked with a lot of the FSMDMT boards, and we are working to put together a check sheet and follow suit in the background checks and everything that we can go through to stop this.
And I please extend, I want to finish asking, thank you. So, here's my question. Let me finish asking a couple of them and just think about what I'm saying. I'm not hearing hostility. These are genuine questions. These are the things that Senate looked at for Act 2023-490, whether y'all want to be mad at me or whatever, okay? This is the truth. Why are we allowing someone who is in the middle of an investigation, they get investigated, they are operating an overnight establishment with 4 unlicensed massage therapists. Why are we awarding them a license right then in those disciplinary reports? Why are we awarding someone a license who has committed this degree that in our bylaw says that it will revoke and suspend and result in denial? Why are we giving it to them afterwards and then fining them again?
If they're already licensed, they're
They weren't. Establishments that were unlicensed with 4 unlicensed massage therapists received a $10,500 fine in the last inspection. But in the same sentence in the May meeting was stated, since then this person has obtained an establishment license. Why are we doing that? Why is the board not coming together to discuss this on an investigative committee report rather than this a legal report? I want to finish, then you can answer whatever. And then why is the board only voting on the contests or the non-contests? Our board is the only board in this entire United States where these investigative committee reports aren't read in the meetings. You guys are just voting on the contests and the amounts when the fines, most of the time the checks they've already been given. Are you gonna vote no if somebody's already paid their fines, Lieutenant Beans?
I'd be a moot point if that was
Right. So my suggestion on that part is, I can spend 20 minutes asking all these questions. We have places that were shut down, that the individuals are still licensed. We have people who are licensed in this state that were unable to get licenses in any other state. So as frustrating as it may sound for the executive director to have sole capacity, and this is no offense to you, okay? But for the executive director to have sole capacity of approving licensures, mistakes get made, things happen, things slip through the cracks. I will be glad to send you over the report of the 61 listed licensees in this state who have either been denied in another state for fraudulent education, their schools were revoked, or they were involved in prostitution in some capacity. Now, involved in and prosecuted are different. Mr. Bledsoe's here that he can say that. However, the one with the active warrant, one of our board investigators was brought in at the end of this. And this individual is still licensed and renewed. So, here's my thing. I agree with Cindy. I do not mind paying more money at all. But I believe that some of this stuff needs to come in from the top. Like you're saying you're changing the rules, that's great. But some things need to start at the top. You cannot expect to hit this from the bottom, not have a lieutenant on your investigative committee, not bring forward the disciplinary actions for this board to actually look at and vote on, and then expect us to make up the difference. That's not how this works. Thank you for your time.
Hold on one second,
Yes.
hold on one
You can
second.
ask as many questions as you
Just
want.
one, I'd like for you to, I'm not in this public hearing, but I'd like for you to share the name of the person that's got a warrant with Investigator Trammell in the back, and it will be followed up on.
Absolutely.
Okay.
You
All
want the
those other
affidavit, you want
names.
the affidavit and the warrant, or do you just want one? The affidavit gets what they
He
did.
he can get the, if you
All
give
the
him the
NCIC,
name and the personal information of that person, he can look it up.
Perfect.
In fact, all of those things that you just listed should be handed to them to act on if you want
They
to
were
act on.
there, they were there. Okay, next.
Yes, when he was not here, he was not present, because, we had Zoom, and he's a police officer. Probably was in the middle of an investigation, or something, but he was not present the day when they choose the investigation.
Okay, so how long has it been in our bylaws that we have an investigative committee that reports to the board that's always been there?
Okay, I'm just trying to.
I get
help,
you, I
right?
get you. No, I'm not throwing him under the bus, I'm asking. As a police officer, as a serving law enforcement agent, those should be questions that he has too. What am I being used for in my capacity when the article written from the governor's mouth said he was appointed to this board with 66 truck, and yet he hasn't been utilized for that? How would that make you feel if you were appointed to this board for a specific thing and you were never used for that?
You don't know if he's been used. He's been working with investigators. We all have been working together.
Answer the question, Lieutenant Deans. Have you been used in that capacity to work with investigators? He can answer his own question. Have you been used in that capacity to assist investigations in this state?
No.
Yes? My time's up. I can stop. You have a question?
This is part of why we want to discuss how complaints, and there are a lot of things that take place outside of when formal complaints are submitted to the board. There's a lot of activity in law enforcement where, you want it in there that we report to law enforcement. There's a lot of things that involve law enforcement that do not constitute and are issued as a complaint to the board. So I want all of them to be, they're involved on a daily basis with law enforcement all over the state. And Mr. Benson, that is why he's here, because they were working with Human Trafficking Task Force. They're involved in the annual Human Trafficking Task Force when they have their meeting here. So there's a lot that is involved in human trafficking and those sexually illicit businesses that don't come before the board in a formal complaint. So there's a lot of moving mechanisms,
Yes.
and there are a lot of questions, and that's why we want to provide that opportunity.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But we're in 2023. The board will decide whether or not they're going to continue their terms in September, right? We're in 2023. He's been serving since the end of 2019, beginning of 2020. We're our third year in. and Mr. Beans has never been used in that capacity. You said that's why he's here. You actually.
I didn't say that.
You just
I-
did. You
I
just
did
said that's
not.
why he's here. Yes, sir, you did. You just said that. So, but I'm not trying to argue with you.
He was
I'm just-
recommended because of his, but I mean, it's not a human trafficking board position.
No,
So-
I get that.
But he talks to our investigators all the time, do you not? Yes. We have not had a complaint that's been submitted to this board on human trafficking. So there's a lot of moving parts that go on outside of board business and complaints when it comes to human trafficking in those businesses.
Okay, in
that's fine.
2019, they shut down by the AG's office. Let's talk about that a second. 2019, obviously, the Supreme Court overturned because the Attorney General's office had seized the assets, so that was a big issue. So the Supreme Court overturned that. Matt Bledsoe, I'm sure, and Mr. Bledsoe, you're aware of this. However, it was proven during that time that these individuals were practicing prostitution. Mr. Beams was part of that investigation, were you not? I'm pretty
I was
sure.
there, I
Okay.
got to accompany the Attorney General's office.
That individual is still licensed. Now, the Supreme Court may have overturned their assets, Mr. Warren, but they're still licensed in the state to practice massage. And we're here talking about a little bit of Draven law, which is great, and we need that in the state. But the reason that 2023-490 went through in the capacity that it did was not because some girl from Winston County started screaming. There needs to be a better vetting up front. We had 7 years without a background check because it wasn't required and the Federation did not do it. There's